Hello all! I'm sorry for missing out my introduction in prior videos. It seems to really mess with people, but I can assure you that I am indeed Rick and I am indeed here. That being said, let's deal with someone far less definable, Luther Sloan of Section 31. If that even is your real name! In many ways, Sloan represents the perfect agent of Section 31, in that he was adept at incorporating himself into any situation within Starfleet, and this facade even extended to his capture and to his death. But what do we know of him? He was born near the city of Pretoria in Africa, and like many Earthers, decided to enlist in Starfleet Academy. It seems that he had an interest in two topics more than most: medical studies and intelligence. He made it known that he was gunning for the head position of Starfleet intelligence, but also confessed to desiring a career in medicine. Ultimately, he would pursue the former goal, setting him on his path to Section 31. By 2360, Sloan had made contact with the head of Starfleet intelligence, the dedicated, outstanding and ambitious officer that he was. At this stage, the head of SI was in fact Admiral Nyota Uhura, who had become an intelligence agent in 2293, relaying subspace communications to the organisation and lending an ear. She made the rank of captain but refused promotion to higher positions to avoid drawing too much attention. But despite this, her position in Starfleet intelligence meant that she often had clearance that outranked even an admiral. Eventually, however, it seems that she rose to command the department. I really need to do a profile on Uhura, but I want to wait for Strange New Worlds in case it adds more to her backstory. Suffice to say, she did not approve of Sloan and made a conscious decision to never let him rise to power within Starfleet intelligence. This is probably why he ended up being drawn into Section 31. 11 years later, he was a part of 31, and already a rather high-ranking individual among the Black Ops group. He was referred to by the rank of Director by underlings. However, without a clear breakdown of the organisation, we cannot compare this to an equal from within Starfleet. Within intelligence organisations, governments and such, however, this rank is often part of a larger title such as Director General, and notable for being among the upper echelons of command, if not the very top. By this time, Section 31 had withdrawn itself from Starfleet Association as much as possible. They no longer had a central headquarters, and had become incredibly adept at hiding any assets they did have. After some time, Sloan integrated himself with the Deputy Chief of Starfleet Intelligence, Vice Admiral Fujisaki, who mentored him as a protege of sorts. However, this may or may not even be true, as Fujisaki was killed via suspected assassination. Then his death was used to implicate Koval, a Tal Shiar agent, in the murder, but this itself was a ploy to win Koval favour within the Romulan Star Empire, as Sloan then played the part of a vengeful protege, insisting that Section 31 was entirely a fabrication of Sloan in order to use Starfleet intelligence assets without implicating Starfleet. Koval in actuality was a Starfleet mole, but one now with a solid cover story and achievement behind him to position him within the Star Empire. Oh man, I've only just started and it's already getting so messy. Sloan began to take an active interest in trying to recruit Lieutenant Julian Bashir into Section 31, which is more or less where we first catch wind of him and Section 31 in the shows. His attempts to bring the Doctor on board show that he still retained a level of power within the organisation, and he wrote up a report on Bashir as an evaluation, passing it on to his colleagues. Sloan also played the part of a Deputy Director of Starfleet Internal Affairs, suggesting that Section 31 had enough of a presence within this branch of Starfleet for such impersonations to be viable cover. However, this was all presented during a holo program, so once again we cannot know for sure. But the ease with which he was able to slip into the role does suggest that this might be an actual cover identity used. We learn that upon his skills in acting, impersonation and general subterfuge, he also had strong mental training. He died in 2375, towards the conclusion of the Dominion War, a key component of the morphogenic virus plan that Section 31 implemented to eliminate the Founders. He activated a neural depolarizer embedded in his brain, which instantly knocked him out and began the process of destroying his memories and neural connections. Even though he was stabilised for a few more hours, the damage was progressive, fatal and irreversible. When Bashir and O'Brien entered his mind, it became apparent that Sloan was able to detect the intrusion into his mind and shape his mental defences to counter their actions, even to the point of being able to send pain responses back through the mind link to try to kill the intruders. To do this must require some level of training to protect his mind, as it's generally something far beyond your regular human's mental ability. Upon his death, though, we get a solid and in-depth look at the man behind the missions. He housed many regrets and was haunted by the things he had done, but buried those doubts deep. His greater regret, however, was distancing himself from his family, as his work necessitated, and the realisation that the sacrifice that Section 31 requires from its operatives, that their mark upon the galaxy is to be erased and their deeds fading from existence because Section 31, like Sloan, never officially existed. It's from here we learn that he had a wife, Jessica Sloan, and 2 children, a son and a daughter. From Bashir's time in his mind as Sloan died, the first thing they encountered was a representation of his regrets and a need for acceptance and catharsis. This was quickly overcome by a sense of duty once more, as Sloan realised Section 31 secrets were in danger of being leaked. We also learn that he secretly admired Bashir's kindness and compassion, considering idealism a poor substitute for them. But the cynic in him always prevented him from being the kind of person who could act solely on compassion. We can see that Sloan really did have a high degree of clearance in Section 31, being privy to a myriad of plans and ongoing operations. He had knowledge of many plots, theories and persons of interest that Section 31 was juggling, such as multiple operations on Kronos and the names of agents embedded within the office of the Federation President. He mentioned how there was no paper trail to follow for this knowledge in the real world. He implied that Section 31 has become so secretive that they no longer consolidate all their data in one place, and for the most part, information is retained only in the minds of a select few, one of which is Sloan. Again, whether or not this is true is up for debate, as his contributions to the organisation were kept in the form of numerous reports to his comrades within 31, so, at points, there has to be a transcribed form of information. But I do believe that Section 31 would severely minimise the amount of recorded data it had. This shows incredible levels of mental discipline and memory. The human mind is notorious for bias and colouring memories with time, and for there to be no official backup for all these operations means that the whole organisation was reliant on the recollection of a few directors. Ultimately, he was incredibly dedicated to Section 31, standing by the numerous underhanded tactics it had taken to secure the Federation because, from his experiences, its actions had saved UFP lives numerous times without them even knowing. This necessity was so intrinsically baked into his view of things that he took his own life to protect the organisation and its plans to end the Dominion War, and then attempted to keep Bashir with him long enough to also perish in his mind with the lure of more information. Sloan didn't think of himself as a hero or a martyr, but a necessity, a justified element to protect more lives. The morphogenic virus ended the Dominion War, but not in the way he had planned, not through annihilation, but an act of compassion in sharing the cure of the Founders, fighting ruthlessness, not with the same, but understanding. Then again, without the threat of imminent extinction, the chance for compassion would not have even been available, so I guess it depends on what lens you view it through. This look at Sloan's life is based on apocryphal stories that attempt to add more to the character, but honestly, I think everything we need to know about him is there in the show. Section 31 itself might have room for more stories, but that runs the risk of quantifying the shadowy group and taking away from its grim allure. That being said, Now, I am compiling a research for a video on that too, so I guess I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to fun. Thanks for watching this video on Sloan, our introduction into the darker side of the good guys in Trek, and I hope to bring you a video soon on the Cryptic organisation itself. Until then, I've been Rick, and I'll see you next time. Thanks again, and goodbye.